Y'all can hear me? Hear me? Get W's in the chat if y'all can hear me. W's in the chat. Beautiful, beautiful. Let's see what we got here in the chat with you guys. Appreciate you. The Polar Express 1225 Productions. W, appreciate you, my man. It's nothing. Shout out to you, my man. What's up, good man? Oh. Finally, the mic's working again. I missed the entire race other than the last 10 laps. What did I miss? Well, tune in and we'll figure it out. So, welcome everybody to the Cutline Pocono edition. I'm your host, Armando DePaul. After a pretty exciting Pocono finish, all things considered. I'll talk about it more when we get into the race weekend rankings, but it really felt like this race was kind of what we thought Michigan was going to be, in the sense of kind of tame, kind of relaxed, but still pretty thrilling. It's a fuel mileage mixed here and there, but overall pretty entertaining. Elite 8 out of 10 in my opinion. Well, Elite, yeah, you are biased. I was about to say, is that really an 8 out of 10 because it was a good race, or an 8 out of 10 because Briscoe finally won? We will talk about Briscoe winning as well. But before we do, make sure you guys like the stream and subscribe to the Daily Downforce as well. It helps me out a ton. Check out dailydownforce.com for all our amazing content. And also stay tuned to the channel as well for a lot of content as well. We got something in the works that you guys might enjoy. But another thing you notice is a little different background here as well, trying some new different things as well. But yeah, I guess I should ask you guys as well, because we have this pretty big white space in the background here. What's something that I should put in this background off to this side? You know, I have a John Andretti 43 poster. The frame is a little bit broken. I can maybe put that over here. I know I have a few others. I have like a retro Goodyear poster. I got an Indy 500 poster. So what do you guys think? Should I throw that over to this white blank side? Let me know in the comment section below. Kyle Busch battled back to a 20th. I call that a win. Imagine saying that 5 years ago, saying that Kyle Busch finishing 20th would be considered a win for his fans. No shade, by the way. Elite, I'll be the first to admit my bias. Trust me, I'm a Larson fan, so anytime he wins, the race is automatically a 10 out of 10. Raging Knuckles, the last caution saved Blaney's race. I'm surprised he couldn't mount a charge with the freshest tires on the last run. I mean, he was definitely like in the mix with Hamlin and Briscoe, but I'll talk about it more in the race weekend rankings. I really think Dirty Air maybe played a little bit of a factor, especially because, you know, he had the fresher tires, so tires really weren't that much of a factor really all race long. I mean, we even heard Letarte saying in the booth, there were guys on 10, 15-lap-old tires, and they were still putting down the faster lap after faster lap, personal best after personal best. So really tire wear wasn't much of a factor as maybe we're used to, which I feel like with Pocono, tire wear isn't really much of a question, which is interesting because Pocono's a pretty old surface, I believe. One of you guys let me know in the comments, when was the last time Pocono had a repave? Like, I know Michigan hasn't had a repave in over a decade. Obviously, Atlanta just had their repave. Daytona's been, I think, almost 2 decades that they've had their repave. But when was the last time Pocono had a repave? If one of you guys can find that out for me in the comment section, I'd appreciate that. I have a Cole Goodyear tire in my room signed by Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, and Ty Dillon. One of those names is not like the others. No, I'm just kidding. That's honestly pretty cool, though. In terms of autograph merch, I have an autograph Brad Keselowski Brickyard 400, the race version, because I was there, and I got an autograph version of him. I actually won that off an auction about 3-4 years ago, so that's pretty cool. I also got a signed Mark Martin hat. My mom got it for me at a pawn shop, so that's also pretty. It's a retro Mark Martin hat back when he drove the 6 car. I also got a signed Larson hat, his championship winning hat, and I also have a signed Daytona 500 hat from when I went last year, and I got a bunch of drivers to sign. I think I got Hamlin. I know I got Swartz to sign it. I think I got a colleague guy to sign it. I don't exactly remember for sure, but I know I got some of them to sign it. That is my prized possession. I bet it is. I bet it is. Hey, that's awesome, though. That's awesome. Joshua 8824 Race. I didn't get to see this for a second here, but 5 out of 10. The fuel saving was intense, but man, dirty air is awful. They've got to fix this car as far as dirty air. I agree. I don't know. Again, I'm not an engineer. I'm not going to claim I'm an engineer. Like, I'm not going to go out there and say that, oh, just get rid of the diffuser and that'll solve all the problems. I highly doubt it's that simple. If it was, they would have done it already. Like, horsepower, I get. Keeping the diffuser, what does that really do? So I'm pretty sure if it was that simple, they would have done it already. But I don't know what the solution is. So, I don't know. But what I do know is the guy who won the race today. So, let's talk about our win. Oh. Okay, that's weird. There we go. Sorry about that. That's interesting. I moved some things around, so maybe that's why when things got plugged and unplugged, everything just went ballistic. But anyway, so Chase Briscoe finally gets his win at Pocono. So I remember last year when it was announced that Briscoe was going to take over the 19 for Martin Truex Jr. And there was honestly a lot of skepticism coming out of, why are you going to hire a guy like Chase Briscoe? What has he really proven? This, that, yada, yada, yada. And frankly, come here for a second. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I didn't think that the criticism Briscoe got when he got moved over to the 19 was really warranted. I mean, guys, he was driving for, think about this. When Briscoe got into the Cup Series in 2021, that was the first year that Stewart-Haas Racing really fell off a cliff. Now, hindsight 2020, we didn't know that coming because they were just coming off a 10-win season. But no one knew that Stewart-Haas was going to fall off the way that they did from 2021 onward. But no one really seemed to really put that into account when it came to Chase Briscoe, when it came to him, taking over the JGR number 19. I heard a lot of people saying that, what has he proven? He hasn't really done anything. He's only got that one win in Phoenix, and he hasn't done much. To those people back then, I would have said, what has Harvick done in that time span in the 4 car? What did Ryan Preece do? What did Almirola or Noah Gragson do? Like, I get where they were coming from in the sense of maybe you'd want a more proven driver to take over the 19 car, but really at the time, there wasn't anyone available. Kyle Busch was still under contract. Bubba Wallace wasn't going anywhere, and even then, you can argue Briscoe's more proven than Bubba at this point. So, and even some of the guys in the Xfinity Series, who would you have picked? Maybe Austin Hill, but he's tied with RCR. Allgaier's not going anywhere. He's going to stay there. Corey Heim might have been the only other choice, but if Hyman can't even get a JGR Xfinity ride, what makes you think he's going to get a Cup ride, per se? So, I really thought that when Briscoe was announced, he was the overall best choice to take over the 19 car. He's a solid pair of hands. He typically doesn't tear up equipment. And guys, remember, I know it was 5 years ago, but this is a guy that won 9 Xfinity races back in 2020. And this was during the pandemic year with no practice, no qualifying after the first 4 races of the season. So Briscoe literally had to load off and just hope and pray that the setup worked throughout the entire race. And 9 times out of the year, it did. Now, he didn't come away with the championship, but that's because, one race, winner take all. I mean, you could just throw a dice and see who wins the title at that point. But this year, Briscoe has been very interesting. And I really don't think it's been all the pressure on Briscoe as well. I think a lot of pressure has been put on crew chief James Small. When you take over for a crew chief like Cole Pearn, one of the best crew chiefs, in my opinion, in NASCAR history. I mean, think about it. He came over to Furniture Row Racing and immediately established them as a championship contender when they were nowhere to be found before he arrived, even when Truex was in that car during the 2014 season. But you take over a guy like that who's winning 4, 5, multiple races a year, every year. You take over a guy like that. Year number 1, you only win 1 race. He wins, I think, 3 or 4 in year number 2. But then in the next gen era, winning only 1 season from 2022 to 2024, and in the final season with Truex, who's going to be a Hall of Famer, you can't win a single race? So a lot of pressure was put on James Small as well, the crew chief, because honestly, going into 2024, I was starting to question Joe Gibbs Racing in the sense of, why do you still have this guy up in the 19 box? What do you see that we don't? Because at least me, all I saw was a guy who couldn't win with a Hall of Fame driver. I saw a guy who couldn't even make it, who choked, might I add, the playoffs in 2023. A guy who couldn't even make it out of the round of 16 in a Joe Gibbs Racing car last year. So I'm thinking to myself, why are you keeping this guy up in the boot? Why are you keeping this guy up top of the box? You switch out Hamlin and Ty Gibbs' crew chiefs, but you leave the 19 intact? And for most of the year, I think it's fair to say that most of those concerns were validated. I mean, yeah, Briscoe would win a pole here and there. You know, he was basically turning into Ryan Newman 2.0, the Rocket Man, the sequel. But other than that, I mean, yeah, he had a couple top fives here and there, but he was outside the top 10 in points. He didn't really look like a championship contender. So, you know, it was kind of just like the pieces were falling into place to think, yeah, James Small is probably going to get the can at the end of the season. But that 19 team has slowly been getting better. They've been racking off a few more top 10s. Then they started converting into top 5s. And it really felt like it was just a matter of when they were going to win, not a matter of if. And guys, remember, Chase Briscoe, like I mentioned, was under pressure himself. Because he had to prove that to Joe Gibbs, to his sponsors. I mean, guys, Bass Pro Shops was so confident in Briscoe that they sponsor him for the entire season. That's an Ally 48 with Alex Bowman level of sponsorship. We don't get that anymore. Hamlin doesn't have that. Kyle Busch doesn't have that. But Briscoe does. Even a guy like Riley Herbst doesn't have that, who comes with funding. So, Briscoe had a lot to prove. He had a sponsor willing to sponsor him for all 36 races, which I guarantee you isn't cheap, by the way. He had a crew chief on the hot seat. He had a lot of doubters saying, what have you proven? And he proved why he belongs in that 19 car. When Briscoe, he kind of reminds me in a way this season of Ryan Preece. What do I mean by that? When Ryan Preece is up inside the top 5, top 10, albeit it's very rare, might I add, more rare than Briscoe, he tends to stay there. You know, you got a guy like Nemechek, where if he runs in the top 5, he kind of falls to the back half of the top 10. You got a guy like Cole Custer this week, who qualified top 5. By the way, what the hell was that? And then he quickly fell outside the top 10. Or a guy like Matt DiBenedetto back in the day, where he would be up front, but then quickly fall behind. Briscoe isn't like that. Briscoe's a driver that, if he's up front, he's going to stay there. And I've said for years, there is a difference between running up front, and there's a difference in staying up front. You can run third all you want. That's great. But how long can you stay in third? Look at Nemechek. Yeah, he had a good finish, but for a good middle portion of the race, I know this race was strategy and all that stuff, but think about it. A good portion of the race, he was also in the back half of the top 10. Same thing with Custer. As soon as he fell outside the top 10, you never saw that 41 again. That 19 car stayed up there because he knows how to stay up there. He showed why he belongs in the 19. And again, a lot of pressure on the entire 19 team. There was a real scenario, guys, where if this season didn't pan out, Briscoe could have been gone, and James Small would have been gone. They would have had a new driver for the 19 and a new crew chief. Now, will James Small stay past this year? I don't know. We have to see how the rest of the season pans out. But, overall, I'm very happy for Briscoe. Because I like these stories. I like these stories where guys just rise to the occasion when they have everything behind the wall, their back behind the wall. You got Hamlin and Bell winning 3 races. And then you and Ty Gibbs are over there just like, well, when are you going to get it done? Yeah, you won 4 poles, but Michael McDowell won 6 poles last year. How many wins did he get this last year? And Briscoe, honestly, was on track for the same path. But he showed why he's a Joe Gibbs Racing driver. He showed why Joe Gibbs gave him that paycheck. He showed why Joe Gibbs picked him out to drive the 19. And he had to earn that win, guys. Not only because the team was, they thought that they were off on fuel. They didn't think they could make it. You got not just Hamlin down your throat, but Blaney as well. Both of them down your throat. You got a past champion. You got, in my opinion, the greatest driver ever to never win a championship. That's a lot of pressure to put on a guy with only 2 Cup wins on his belt. But he rose to the occasion, and after that, he managed to get to 3. So congratulations on Chase Briscoe and the entire 19 team. I know Elite is very excited right now. If you see him in the comments, Elite, shout out to you, my man. Yeah, your bias, I'm pretty sure, is showing up. But hey, you deserve it. Hey, congrats, man. Let's see what we got in the comments here. The late caution saved Blaney's race. I'm surprised he couldn't mount a charge with the freshest tires on the last run. Again, yeah, I think that's just mostly due to dirty air, which we'll get to that later on when I talk about the race weekend rankings. But yeah, I thought Blaney would have got by. That's my prized possession. I have KB's 100th truck win from Pocono. And I was at that race. I also signed a signed FedEx crew hat from Hamlin. KB doesn't. Are you talking about Kyle Busch Motorsports? Are you talking about Kyle Busch Motorsports? Because Kyle Busch, I think, only has 64, 65 truck wins. He's nowhere close to 100, unless you're talking about Kyle Busch Motorsports as a whole. Let's just say I went nuts, I would imagine. And to be honest, was one of the skeptics since he was headed to a winning, contending ride that was going vacant. What is your opinion on Ty Gibbs and his team as of now? He feels like an anomaly to me. Ty Gibbs is weird, man. I know Ty Gibbs can drive. You don't win an Xfinity title as a rookie if you don't have talent. And we've seen it last year. He pointed his way into the playoffs, and for a good chunk of that season was inside the top 5, top 10 in points. But this is why racing is so weird to me. And this is why, just a little bit of a tangent, why you can't really have a whole winning you're in or a whole just winning when it matters, because you go through these ebbs and flows all the time. I feel like with racing, more than any other sport, you can see a fall off coming from one specific moment. Think about this. 2020, Kevin Harvick, the whole Martinsville fiasco. Trying to wreck Kyle Busch again to the Final Four, misses out. What happens the next year? He goes winless. 2022, Chase Elliott in the playoffs, frankly, was not very good. Yeah, he got that Talladega win, but other than that, he was a non-factor for most of the playoffs. Really only made the championship 4 just off of the sheer amount of points he had. Playoff points he had. What has Elliott really done since? Not a lot. 2023, Kyle Busch. Great first half of the year. 3 wins in the first 12 races. Second half, falls off a cliff. A cliff he's really yet to climb out. A cliff he's yet to climb back up off of. And Ty Gibbs the same way. Second half of the season last year, playoff run, nowhere. Terrible. I think he finished outside the top 30 like 4 or 5 times in the last 5 races. And then this year, besides a few blips here and there, really is yet to recover. So it's really strange with, you can see kind of like when the dips start to come, the ebbs and flows. And again, just some of the stuffs I mentioned, and maybe that's what Ty Gibbs is going through right now. And honestly, I really don't know how that 54 recovers. They show that they can compete. I think he finished top 10 to this race. I'm not exactly sure, but I think he finished top 10. He has a lot of good tracks. Bristol is one of them. He's great there. But, you got a rookie crew chief, driver in year 3, still really young. And Ty Gibbs is younger than me, guys. I'm 24 years old. Ty Gibbs is younger than me. So he still has a long way to go. And remember, not everyone has the same path. Chase Elliott took 2 years till year 3 to get a win. Blaney took only until year 2. Chris Buescher won a race in his rookie season, guys. Remember that. So not everyone is on the same path. And I imagine Ty Gibbs will eventually win. He's in a JGR car. In my opinion, he has too much talent not to win. So, I don't know. I think he's talented, but I just don't think he's in a good situation. I mean, rookie crew chief, young driver, typically you need to have a veteran presence somewhere, whether it's in the driver or the crew chief. And unfortunately for Ty, he just doesn't have that right now. With the next generation car, dirty air is impossible to get away from. That is from Nicholas. We'll get to that later on. Next thing I want to talk about here is the title of this video. And that is... So I have Connor Zillage up here, guys, and that is because obviously he won the race at Pocono, but I'm not really here to talk about Zillage. I'm here to talk about the man who was the crew chief for Connor Zillage, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Dale Earnhardt Jr. getting his first win as a crew chief, and, you know, when this was first announced, it got everyone going crazy. Not only just because it's the sport's most popular driver of all time being up at top of the pit box, but even just as well, Hall of Famer, Xfinity Series team owner, obviously owner of Junior Motorsports, but also because a lot of comments from other industry members. Kyle Busch saying, it's not really going to mean anything. A lot of people didn't like those comments, and Kyle Busch really ate his words after Zillage crossed the start-finish line. But with Dale Jr., this is a man who I think is the embodiment of lives and breathes NASCAR. I mean, think about it. Dale Earnhardt Jr. And I'm not even talking about just his dad or the Earnhardt name, anything around that. If we took the Earnhardt out of Dale Jr. and his last name was literally Jr., look what Dale Jr. has done throughout his career. 26 Cup wins, Hall of Famer. All right, 2-time Xfinity Series champion, winning owner. High Rock Vodka, the sponsor, even says it here: winning driver, winning owner, winning crew chief. That's what we call a High Rock moment here. But this is a guy that lives and breathes NASCAR. Think about it. Name me anybody out there who lives and breathes the sport like Dale Jr. The only other guy maybe you can say is Richard Childress, maybe, just because he's been in the sport longer. But why do I say that? So, if you guys don't know, I used to be a Dale Jr. fan. I was a Dale Jr. fan, then when he retired, I went to Jimmy, and then when he went to Jimmy, I went to Larson. And my criteria for in terms of favorite drivers might be different from other people. I like to choose guys based off of two things. One, or it could be one of two things. Number one, you just have to be a purebred racer. As a race fan myself, I love seeing guys who just live and breathe racing. This is what they were born for. This is there is nothing else they were meant to do than to strap into a car and just drive. That is what I love to see out of just anybody as a driver. That's why I like Kyle Larson, because he's just a purebred racer. It's why I honestly like Max Verstappen, because he's a purebred racer. This guy lives and breathes racing. There is nothing else that matters to him. Because as a racing fan, for the vast majority of my life, I want my drivers that I root for to feel as passionate about the sport as I do. It's why, honestly, I can't really be a Chase Elliott fan, because I don't feel like he's passionate about the sport. So why am I going to root for a guy who's not passionate, who I don't feel like is as passionate as I am? Same thing with a lot of these guys. It's why I've grown respect for Hamlin. But Larson's the same way. He's just a purebred driver. And Dale Jr., he's like that, but he follows number two, my criteria. He just loves NASCAR. This guy, NASCAR is his life. Think about it, guys. Dale Jr. owes his life to this sport, and you feel it with every decision, every move he makes. Think about it. Cup winner, Xfinity champion, both as a driver and an owner. Broadcaster, podcast host for Dirty Mo Media, which is not just in NASCAR now, but motorsports as a whole. Shout out to Speed Street, by the way. And now a crew chief? What other persona out there has such a passion for the sport to know every in and out of the sport, to live and breathe NASCAR, to where they say, yeah, I want to try the crew chief thing out? How many of them could say that? Not many. But Dale Jr. can. Because this guy loves NASCAR. This guy wants nothing more than to see the sport return to the glory days and surpass them. I mean, think about it. The iRacing game, for crying out loud. The new game coming out. Who's a major contributor? Dale Earnhardt Jr. Cup winner. Xfinity champ. Xfinity as a driver and an owner. Crew chief. iRacing. Dirty Mo Media. You name it. I mean, folks, you can be, like, there's other athletes out there where, yeah, they're big personas, but they don't really feel like, it feels like they're representing themselves, not necessarily the brand around them or the sport around them or the team around them. When Patrick Mahomes is out there doing State Farm commercials, he's not out there doing it for, it's the Chiefs. I'm doing this for the Chiefs. Now it feels like he's doing it for Patrick Mahomes, what there's nothing wrong with. It feels like Dale Jr., every decision he makes is for the good of the sport. And, you may be saying, you're overreacting for a crew chief Xfinity win. I don't think so. A lot of guys might see it as, he's one of one as a crew chief. That's incredible, blah, blah, blah. I see it as a man who is so passionate about a sport that he dedicates every decision, every moment of his life to getting involved in it, to learning more about it, and to making it better. And I've been a Dale Jr. fan my entire life. My earliest memory of NASCAR racing is watching Dale Jr. win the 2004 Daytona 500. I was 3 years old. And when I see things like that, I'm reminded why I'm a Dale Jr. fan. Because him and I are the same. We both love this sport and we want to dedicate everything that we have to the sport that we love. So, that's my little monologue on Dale Jr. With congratulations, of course, crew chief winner. Just adds on to the Hall of Fame resume. Alright, monologue over. Let's take a look here at the comments real quick. Dale Jr. did just what Lightning McQueen did at Cars 3 and won with Connor, and it was just awesome. Yeah. I mean, the only difference, it's funny enough, it actually is in the 88. If Dale Jr. Please, Jr., if you're listening, Dale, if you're ever listening, please, one day, crew chief the 8 car. Please, crew chief Sammy Smith. Oh my God, if Dale Jr. Guys, put that in the comments section. Blast Dale Jr. Say, Dale Jr., your next crew chief job has to be for that 8 car. Oh my God, if he crew chiefs for that 8 font, that would be chef's kiss. That would be glorious. I need this in my life. Guys, put it out there. Dale Jr.'s next crew chief job has to be for Sammy Smith in that 8 with the 8 font. It would just write itself. It's too perfect not to. If he does it at Daytona or Talladega, I might lose my mind. I actually might lose my mind. Nicholas, and I was a Dale Jr. fan as well, too. I literally have... I'm looking at my diecast collection. I see 5 124s for Dale Jr. I got more in storage. I know what I have is 2004 Daytona 500 win somewhere in storage. Typically you would see it right over here. I actually might switch these around, but typically you would see it, the old setup. It's off to the, where I'm pointing at. And I also have his final ride from 2017 because I was there as well, which, by the way, that was an awesome watch. But, yeah, Dale Jr. fan. as as you can tell. I think I've glazed Dale Jr. more just this one segment than I have ever for Kyle Larson, which should tell you how big of a Dale Jr. fan I am. As a matter of fact, I want to show y'all something. Hold on, I'll be right back. I need to show y'all something. Okay. Yeah, we're going a little off balls to the wall here, but it doesn't matter. It's my show. It's my show. We're having fun. So, yeah, I also have this Dale Jr. jacket. Yeah, I'm going to wear it for the rest of the show, because I want to. Alright, so, pretty quick. So, let's move on here to our first... There we go. Race Weekend Rankings. It's about time. So, if you guys don't know how this works, or if you guys want to follow along, there's a link in the description after... I swear to God, this mic is pissing me off. But, Race Weekend Rankings, everybody. Two things. Number one, like and subscribe as well. It helps me out a ton. Subscribe to the channel, like the stream as well. But number two, if you guys want to follow along with my Race Weekend Rankings, we've been doing them throughout the entire 2025 season. There are two links in the description. The first one is for this weekend's race edition of races. We have them all the time. It's under Pocono Race Weekend Rankings, so click on the link if you want to follow along. And then we have the 2025 edition of the Race Weekend Rankings, where we cover every single race, Truck, Xfinity, Cup, and then we sprinkle in some ARCA here and there, and some other races as well throughout different series. But we cover all of them. We rank all of them, all on the tier list. It's how we like to end these episodes off. Link in the description so you can check it out. So, Pocono. I'm going to put the Xfinity race at number 3. If any of you, longtime listeners of this show know by now, I'm not a fan of crash fests. I'm not a fan of races where it really feels like the drivers can't make it 1 to 2 laps without spinning out, crashing, you name it. The reason I say that's because, if we want to promote these guys as the best in the world, I don't think it's a great indicator when no one can make it past 2, 3, 4 laps. It just makes them look silly, it makes the race sloppy, and it slows the pacing down a lot. And personally, it's why I don't like overtimes. It's why super speedway racing is hit or miss for me, because it's at the point I'm just like, alright, we going to get something in, guys? Like, y'all look silly. So, the Xfinity race really fell to that problem. There was a lot of crashes, a lot of mayhem, especially in the beginning of the race. It really felt like, are we going to get this in? Again, it got sloppy, it got silly. It got better towards the end, but again, whether it's in the beginning, the middle, or the end, when I get to the Cup race, I'll talk about that as well. It kind of leaves a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth, because it's just like, oh great, you guys can hold it together for a few more laps. Like, come on now. So I'm not a fan of those. I'm not a fan of crash fests for that reason. So that's why it's at number 3. I'm going to put the truck race at number 2 simply because, it was less of a crash fest than Xfinity, but it was nothing really special. It was a Corey Heim domination until it wasn't, and then Lane Riggs managed to take advantage and get the win. It was a solid enough race, but to me, the truck race at Pocono is kind of those races where it was fine. There was nothing really wrong. I'm probably not going to remember it a week or two from now. And it's kind of going to fall under that kind of just 90% of races throughout history where you really don't remember it too much. But it wasn't a crash fest like the Xfinity race, so that's why I put it ahead at number 2. Which leaves number 1, the Pocono race, the Cup edition at Pocono. I really thought I was going to put the truck race at number 1, especially in stage 1 when it looked like Hamlin was just pulling away and no one really looked like they were going to touch a maybe Buescher. Then the strategy started to come in. This is why I like Pocono. Pocono is never going to be a barn burner, side-by-side action, beating and banging. It's never going to be a race where the on-track product in terms of passing carries it. It's kind of like Michigan up until this year, where actually Michigan had everything. But that's why I said at the beginning of the show where I felt like this race is what we thought Michigan was going to be. Nothing really special, but the strategy was going to shine. The strategy was going to take over. And it did. I mean, you had guys pitting, it felt like every caution, trying to determine how much fuel they're going to have. Can they make it? Can they not make it? Even just a little bit of tire strategy was mixed there as well, but the fuel game was a big indicator. I mean, listen to how Brad Keselowski reacted when the final caution came out with SVG. He was livid. Why? Because the strategy was just thrown out the window. So, I enjoy that. I enjoy these kinds of races because we don't get a lot of them. It's a breath of fresh air, and I appreciate that. So, at the end, even as well, with Briscoe, you didn't know if he was going to make it. When I heard that James Small told Briscoe, yeah, we're kind of screwed on fuel, you're like, uh-oh, are we going to get Michigan 2.0? Is Hamlin about to just retake this lead and steal it again on fuel strategy? Well, he didn't end up eventually because Briscoe ended up holding on, but it's that anticipation. It's that anxiety of you don't know what's going to happen. So, and that's one of the beauties about racing. A lot of times you don't know what's going to happen. So those are some of the positives for the Cup race. Now let's move on to the negatives. And I've seen it a lot in the comments section right here. The dirty air. The dirty air was a problem. It looked like in the beginning, Hamlin couldn't really get by Briscoe, and I'm not sure why, because Briscoe looked like he was saving. But then Blaney on fresh tires couldn't get by either. The dirty air is a problem. I don't like it when a faster car, really just a clear-cut faster car, can't get by because dirty air is that strong. And yes, I know, like I just mentioned, Pocono has never really been known for its on-track product in terms of straight passing, but even still, the dirty air was an issue. It kind of ruined, the finish in the sense of, you knew Hamlin wasn't going to get by. You knew Blaney wasn't going to get by because dirty air was king. Briscoe had the clean air. He was going to hold on unless he ran out of fuel, and that was that. It really didn't feel like there was nothing Hamlin could have done. It didn't really feel like there was anything Blaney could have done. And again, I'm not going to talk about the dirty air with the next-gen car. There have been plenty of people to talk about that. I even mentioned a little bit at the beginning of the show, but there's nothing more that I could say that either other people have said already or that I have said already. So it is a problem. It needs to be fixed. Hopefully soon it gets fixed, whether it's with this car or Generation 8. I don't know, but hopefully it gets fixed. But I enjoyed the strategy, I enjoyed the unpredictability, and it's nice to see Chase Briscoe finally rise to the occasion. So for that, it comes in at number 1. Levi Light, dirty air was awful today. Yeah, you could say that again, man. What's up, Levi? Moving on to the 2025 edition for race weekend rankings. You can see here, well, we finally got it shrunken up to a point to where we can fit everything, even though the races are kind of towards the bottom. Hola, Levi. Like I said, none of these races really were that great. I mean, I'll be honest, I could probably throw all of these at C tier and just leave it at that. Like, Xfinity, somewhere here in C tier. Trucks, let's get kind of somewhere here in C tier. I'll put the Cup race, I'll put it at the top of C tier. It'll let me. There we go. I'll put it at the top of C tier. I always say the back end of B tier to pretty much all the C tier is pretty much just that middle mush ground of races where, yeah, it's nothing great, nothing terrible, but I probably won't remember it after a year, in a little bit. And this is kind of the same way. Maybe we'll remember the fuel strategy and, the fact that Briscoe finally won. But other than that, no one's really going to remember this race, I don't think it touches Michigan. I don't think it touches any of the races in S tier. A tier, I think, clears them at all. And if I was to move it at all, I would probably put this somewhere here. Like at the back end of B tier, but I think top of C tier is fine. So there we go. That is the 2025 race weekend rankings so far. I saw, Levi, you said the Trucks was an F. I don't think it was that bad. I thought Trucks was okay. For me, F tier has to be so abominable, or whatever the word you say is, so terrible that it stands out. Like, every race you put here, you will remember it for how bad it is. Whether it's the ARCA races because of their terrible overtime rule, whether it was the Bristol race because you couldn't pass anybody, whether it was the Monaco Grand Prix because it's the Monaco Grand Prix, or whether it was the Xfinity race because everyone lost respect. I don't think the truck race borderline to that. If I was to put it anywhere, maybe at the back end of D tier, of C tier, like the top of D tier, and that's again at the most. But other than that, I think middle of C tier is fine. I was sadly at that Bristol race. I feel bad for you, Levi. That's your fault. You spent money on that one. But speaking of spending money, I just bought my tickets to the race for the Daytona in August for the Coke Zero Sugar 400. So I will be there. So if you guys, see me, I know it's about 2 months away, but let me know. Are you guys going to be at that race? Come and say hi. Have a little chat. Javier, what's up, man? Just going to say Chevy will win for sure and win the Cup title and stop the Penske scum. We say that every year, and the next thing you know, they win 3 in a row. So it's kind of like the Chiefs being bad, which everyone is saying they're going to be bad this year. I kind of got to see it to believe it. But I believe that's all we have on the agenda. And yeah, that's everything we got for right now. So that's going to do it for this episode. Covered everything. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will be back next Saturday night. Why can't the Daytona Summer Race be on July 4th weekend? Because if you're the city of Daytona, why would you have 2 tourist weekends when you can have 3? It's all a money play. I mean, people are going to go to Daytona anyway for 4th of July, whether there's a race or not. So what if you can have another week to bring in tours, to bring in money, to bring in revenue, you're going to take it. It's a business decision, and you can't really blame them. Now, I've been saying this for years, but I'll go more in depth to it next week. But spoiler alert, I have been clamoring for years that Atlanta should be the new 4th of July weekend. It makes too much sense, guys. Super Speedway, as close as you could get to Daytona. It's the best super speedway on the schedule now, in my opinion. It just makes too much sense. Like, why are we going to Chicago for a street race for the 4th of July? We don't even remember the 4th of July race anymore. It's not a tradition anymore. We move it to Atlanta, we bring it back. It makes too much sense. But I'll talk more about that next week. Spoiler alert. Atlanta night should be the 4th of July. Levi, I agree. But again, we'll talk more about that next week for Atlanta Saturday night. Hope you guys tune in. Thank you guys so much. Once again, please like the stream and subscribe to the Daily Downforce as well for a bunch of amazing content. Head to dailydownforce.com for a bunch of cool stuff in there. Articles, games, other content creators, you name it. Check it all out at dailydownforce.com. Follow us on our social media net platforms as well. Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Instagram, TikTok, you name it. You can follow me on my platforms as well at Armani DePaul. Just put the 2 names together. That's going to do it. We're going to wave the checkered flag. Thank you guys so much. And we'll see you next week for Atlanta. And boom.